I'm Allie, and today we're going to be working with some fun stamps from Stamp for Approval. We're going to use the latest and greatest, the Candy Cane Lane, and I'm also going to pull in another couple of stamp sets from other releases. So come and join me. I've taken the Hip Holiday dies, and I've cut myself a piece of 4 1/4 by 5.5 sheet, just some grid paper here. And I have die cut just 3 of the 4 pieces of our cookie tree, and we're going to use this like a stencil. So in aiding that process, I'm also going to use some Easy Tack. It's a repositionable adhesive, and I found this actually, I think, in Michael's. I believe you can find it in hardware stores as well. This is a great tool for creating your own masks because you can basically make anything a mask. So I'm just going to take this over my garbage can, and I'm going to add a layer of it, especially around the tree. So I'll be right back. Now I'm going to wait for this to dry. It's still a little bit really juicy. We want it tacky, of course, to make it stick down. I cut it for a 4 1/4 by 5.5 card because it makes it easier to know exactly where my tree is going on the front face of that card. So that's why I made my mask exactly the same size as my card front. So I have already put our peppermint stick background in my regular sized Misty, and I've already inked it up to show all the borders of that stamp because this stamp is slightly larger and doesn't go into the corners because of the border of the red rubber. And that's why I always stamp the image first so I know the boundaries of where I need to put my card. So because this stamp is so large, I can't use my magnets to hold this down. So we're actually going to take a little bit of ATG, and I'm going to stick my arm to it a few times to get rid of the major tackiness of that adhesive, and it's just going to help me by assisting and holding that cardstock base in place. So this is an A2 sized, just regular weight, heavy duty cardstock, and we are going to put our mask right over top of our card front. So our tacky adhesive is going to help hold that down. I'm going to just press around that die cut image, and all I'm going to do is ink the part of the stamp that's going to sit in that place. Now we're going to have to stamp this a few times to ensure that we get a good impression, and that's why we're using the Misty. So I'm going to use some cracked pistachio. So before we go and move the mask, I'm going to, using my ink pad and my ink dauber, I'm just going to add a whisper of the same exact cracked pistachio ink to the background so that all of our edges will appear as part of our stencil. And I'm okay that the background isn't perfect and that the lines didn't come up perfect, because that's all about having a personalized and handmade greeting card. So I'm going to carefully peel this up because I want to reuse this again and again. There we go, we have the beginnings of our little Christmas tree there. So I'm going to do the remainder of the cards, and then we'll go on to the next step. Alright, so we've done our cards. Now I want to show you something here. Because I made my mask out of good old like printer paper, copy paper, it bled through. So I have these tiny little bit of green splatter. And you know what? I thought, you know what? I'm going to throw this card out. I'm going to throw this card out. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to somehow make this work. So I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to use that somehow to expand my card. So right now I have 3. It only lasted 2 times, so make a note of that. If you're going to make a mask, either make a couple of masks that are identical, because you could put a couple of sheets of copy paper through and die cut exactly the same pattern, so you have a couple of copies. Good to know for future reference. So they're not actually going to be holiday cards, they're going to be thank you holiday cards. So in order to give a hostess maybe of a party, or to include after the holidays, after somebody wonderful has sent you a gift, we need to have some holiday themed thank you cards. So this is where the addition of our gorgeous thank you, and this one comes from the Stamp of Approval Lovely Notes kit, and this is the butterfly notes, and it's the big scripty thank you. So in order to make this one stand out, I think we will use our nice rich black ink, and for this one I'm going to use my favorite things hybrid ink in black licorice. So I think that looks about good. We're using the mini Misty this time because it's just cute and easy. So I've shoved my card in the lower corner. I'm going to ink up that sentiment. And the beauty of having a Misty or a mini Misty is that if your image doesn't come out perfect the first time, it's a little spotty, and you know what, that's okay, because we just ink it right back up again and just reinforce that image again. That's the beauty of the Misty. Much better. There we go. So I'm going to finish off the other 2 cards, and I'll be right with you. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to disguise our little ink marks there, and I'm going to use the same concept across all 3 cards. So I've chosen our wonky little snowflake, our large snowflake, our kind of quilted looking snowflake, and our teeny little star, and I've applied them to small blocks, and I'm just going to randomly stamp them all kind of around my tree, and I'm not going to worry if they're perfect, but I am going to try and see if I can cover some of our boo-boos. So I'm just going to pick them at random and disguise some of our boo-boos. Now, of course, distress inks I do not recommend for stamping, but because I just so love this color of cracked pistachio, I just terribly wanted to use it. So just be patient with this ink if you are going to stamp with it, because it does not stamp perfectly. It's not meant to do that. It's meant to do all kinds of watercoloring tricks and all kinds of things like that. So do not expect great impressions with this brand of ink, but I so wanted to use this color. So I just resigned myself to imperfections, and I'm okay with that. I'm going to finish off the other 2, and away we go. We've all got all of our snowflakes on there, and I'm switching to a Memento ink. This is Love Letter. It's kind of a pinky reddish tone, and I've pulled out the cute little bow from the Hip Holiday stamp set. And I think I'm just going to put 2 bows right kind of in the gaps. And I'm okay with everything overlapping. That's just fine by me. So I don't think our card is quite done. I want to put on a couple of the little bows from the Bright Boughs Stamp set, also included in the Stamp of Approval Candy Cane Lane box. And I think we're going to position them there. And I am going to go back with the cracked pistachio, but then we're going to put some scuba, which is a darker teal. So I'm going to start by stamping the boughs in the cracked pistachio. And then I'm going to go in and just re-ink that just one more time. Like I said, Distress inks weren't meant to do detailed stamping. I'm going to go in with Memento bamboo leaves and see if we can bring in some more green. So I'm just going to try and add ink down the centers of the boughs without doing the tips. And we'll see what that does to our boughs. That's a little bit better. So the green is down the centers and then the teal shows up at the ends. And that's a little bit more different and adds a little bit more color. I like that a little better. And I think it needs a touch more red. So I think what we'll do is we'll add a few berries. Maybe just in and around there, and we'll call her done. So there's our final green card. I'm just going to finish up the remainder of the other two. And I think we're going to call that done. Really simple. I may go in and add just a touch more green in, maybe with some green snowflakes. But other than that, I'm going to call her done. Really plain and simple, one layer thank you card for all of those fabulous gifts from the holidays. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope I inspired you today to make a thank you card for her.